So now I'm just going to explain you about the portfolio evaluation. What are the techniques are available for evaluating the portfolio? It means a mutual fund, what we consider as a portfolio. Portfolio means is a basket of securities that include the various the combination of assets, including the debt, equity, money market, derivatives, arbitrage fund, offshore fund. All these things together included as a portfolio, the combination of various assets. How it is going to be evaluated, the performance of the fund using Jenner's ratio, Sharpe ratio, Jensen's alpha are the three matrices which we are used to calculate, used to measure the performance of the portfolio over the period of time. How we will calculate the Jenner's ratio? Jenner's ratio has been calculated. RP, what is RP here? Average rate of return generated by the portfolio or a scheme or a fund which is taken as RP is the average rate of return generated by the portfolio. And what is RF? RF is considered as average rate of return generated from the risk-free asset. As you already aware from the previous video, how the risk-free asset is calculated, that it is also called it as a zero beta default risk is being free from the default risk. Instrument is free from the default risk. So here the RF is calculated from the treasury bills or the treasury bonds where the risk-free rate of return is calculated. And the beta value, what we consider as the systematic risk associated with the stock at the portfolio on the market, the purpose in which what is calculated, the portfolio beta is calculated. It is actually what we call it as portfolio beta. The Sharpe ratio is calculated, again starts with the average rate of return generated by the portfolio minus average rate of return generated from the risk-free asset. So what we consider as this, we consider as a market risk premium. How much a premium the portfolio has generated compared to the risk-free asset is going to be calculated, and here divided by the Sharpe ratio, it is divided by the standard deviation. What is that standard deviation? The standard deviation of the portfolio. For each specific fund is going to be calculated the standard deviation. You know that how you are going to calculate the standard deviation and beta. The standard deviation is a root of variance. How it is going to be calculated? Root of summation x minus x bar whole square divided by n. What that the standard deviation is going to be calculated? Standard deviation of the portfolio. Here the standard beta of the portfolio on the market compared to that portfolio beta is calculated. Third important aspect is a Jensen's alpha. Jensen's alpha, the alpha is going to be calculated. What is that alpha is going to be compared, is going to be measured with the overall return generated, expected return generated. Because since you know this, RP or RF plus beta of RM minus RF, which the formula is used as an expected return calculation under CAPM, Capital Asset Pricing Model. So where you can have how much a rate of return expected by the investor to make investment into the market. Similar way, what we are doing here we are going to measure how much a rate of return expected by the investor to make investment into this particular portfolio. How much overall, it means superior risk adjusted return is calculated. How the superior risk adjusted return is calculated? By adjusting the expected return to the overall return generated by the portfolio, the Jensen's alpha is going to be calculated. Okay. Hope you understand what are the purpose we are using. Jenner's ratio is comparing the risk adjusted return, systematic risk adjusted return. What we call it as systematic risk adjusted return is calculated under Jenner's ratio. Sharpe ratio, total risk adjusted return is calculated, or absolute or whole risk adjusted return is calculated using Sharpe ratio. Superior risk adjusted return calculated using Jensen's alpha. The purpose in which we are using these three important tools for the evaluation of the portfolio. For you, I just have given two examples, the fund A and fund B. What I have given for the fund A, average rate of return generated by the portfolio A, average rate of return generated by the portfolio B, average rate of return from the risk-free asset is given, covariance of A is given, covariance of A and variance of A is given, covariance of A and market return is given, Similar to this, covariance of B and market return is given. Variance of B is given. It means variance of market is given. Variance of market is given for both, and the standard deviation of portfolio A is given. Standard deviation of portfolio B is given. So this is sufficient for you to do the calculation of portfolio evaluation measures. I'll just take the first one. What is the first one for the fund A? What is the average rate of return from the portfolio A? Is 24%. So here I am just taking 24 minus what is the risk-free asset is 5% divided by what is the beta value here is going to be calculated covariance of xy divided by variance of y. Here it is given 9 divided by 4.5. So 9 divided by 4.5 directly I am taking it is 2. So what is 24 minus 5? 19 divided by 2, it is 9.5. So 9.5 is a Turner's ratio for A. I just mentioned Turner's ratio of A is 9.5. I'll just do the calculation one by one. I'll just take the second one for the portfolio B. What is the portfolio B? The average rate of return generated by the portfolio is 36%. Reminds that risk-free rate is constant 5 divided by the portfolio B. Beta is going to be calculated here. Covariance of xy divided by variance of y. Covariance of xy is 10 and the variance of y is 5. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. Hence here it is taken 36 minus 5, 31 divided by 2, 15.5. So here taken 15.5 as the Turner's ratio calculated for the B portfolio. So this is Turner's ratio is calculated for both the portfolio. I just move on to the next one, Sharpe ratio. The Sharpe ratio is going to be calculated using the formula average rate of return from the portfolio. So average rate of return from the portfolio minus average rate of return from the risk-free asset divided by the standard deviation of the portfolio. So first I will take A. What is the average rate of return from the portfolio? It is 24 minus RF. RF is 5 divided by the standard deviation of A. The standard deviation of A is 4. So here 19 divided by 4. So 19 divided by 4, it can be taken 4.75. 4.75 is a Sharpe ratio for A. 4.75 is a Sharpe ratio for A. I'll be calculating for the B. It is 36 minus 5. 36 is the average rate of return from the portfolio minus average rate of return from the risk-free asset is 5 divided by the standard deviation. The standard deviation here is a 5. So 31 divided by 5. 6.2. 6.2 is a Sharpe ratio of B is 6.2 calculated. Third one, what we are going to calculate? We are going to calculate for the portfolio A and portfolio B for Jensen's ratio, Jensen's alpha. So RP. So what is that? The average rate of return from the portfolio is 24 minus RF. A rate of return from the risk-free asset is 5 plus the beta is already calculated as 2. RM, the rate of return from the market. The rate of return from the market you can take. You can take both the average rate of return from the market being considered as it's a 10% for both A and B market. You can take 10 minus 5 risk-free asset. So here I just added one more thing from the problem. What is required? Portfolio return A, portfolio return B, risk-free rate, covariance of XY and variance of Y for both the portfolio and the standard deviation for both the portfolio, and the market return is additionally added. So you can take that for the calculation. So for Jensen's alpha for A is going to be calculated 24 minus 2, or 2 into 5 means 10 minus 5 is 5 into 2, 10, 10 plus 15, 10 plus 5, 15. So what is the Jensen's alpha here? 9 is a Jensen's alpha. 9 is a Jensen's alpha. So Jensen's alpha A is 9. Jensen's alpha B is going to be calculated. It is 36% rate of return from the portfolio. Risk-free rate, again it is 5% plus beta is 2 for the second portfolio, and the market return is 10 minus 5. So here 36 minus 10 minus 5, 5 into 2, 10, 10 plus 5, 15. So 21. Jensen's alpha B is 21. Once you completed these results, what you can do that you can just make it as a tabular column for you to compare which portfolio is performing better. This is also one of the important tasks that you need to complete. So I'm just mentioning here for the fund A and fund B. I'm mentioning that the Jensen's alpha start with Trenner's ratio. I just refer as TR, Sharpe ratio, SR, Jensen's alpha I mentioned as JA. Okay. So here, what is the Trenner's ratio for A? Trenner's ratio for A is calculated as 9.5. B, it is calculated as 15.5 Trenner's ratio. And the Sharpe ratio for A, Sharpe ratio for A, it is 4.75. For B, it is 6.2. And the Jensen's alpha is taken. Jensen's alpha is taken. For A, it is 9%. B, it is 21%. So this is the final results. This is the way what you can make your presentation in the examination. So what you understand from this? Which ratio can be preferred? Which one is going to be selected? So here we can take compared to A and B. Compared to A and B, A you can take Jensen's is 9.5, 15.5. It means systematic risk adjusted return B is performing better. It means highest ratio would be preferred. Highest ratio would be preferred. The Sharpe ratio is total risk adjusted return, where the fund A is 4.75%, fund B is 6.2%. Again, highest ratio would be preferred, B is selected. Third one, superior risk adjusted return, adjusting the expected rate of return. With that, fund A has generated 9% of return, fund B has generated 21% of return. Fund B is selected. As a whole, as a overall, which one is selected? As a whole, as a overall, fund B performing better compared to A. So investor would like to make investment only in the fund B after evaluating the fund carefully. So this is a way in which what you can do the evaluation if the problem is given. Okay. So you can take this for your understanding. Highest ratio would be preferred for all across three: Trenner's ratio, Sharpe ratio, Jensen's alpha. Trenner's ratio means systematic risk adjusted return. Sharpe ratio means total risk adjusted return. Jensen's alpha means superior risk adjusted return. Superior risk adjusted return. So with that, highest performing fund would be preferred. For both the three metrics, the fund B performing higher, better than fund A. So investor would like to make investment in fund B.